Most of our scriptures, most of our masters used to tell many things with related to the spiritual concepts. But if we apply all the concepts to the psychological world, all concepts will suit. Nothing will fail. But the seekers unable to distinguish the inner world and the outer world. If a seeker is able to distinguish the inner world and the outer world, they can very well use the concepts of various masters, various scriptures. They will make benefit of the scriptures, make benefit of the sayings of other people, other masters. So it will work. So if they apply the concept to the psychological world and the aham or the inner world, everything will suit. But most of the people, they are having some confusion how to execute the concept to the outer world and the inner world. So the main problem is how to divide the psychological world and the physical world. For example, we are facing a problem, and we may have many problems in the world. We may be a business people or ordinary people, anybody. Then there are many situations in the external world, and we are facing the problem of the external situations. And the situation reflects in our mind. So we have some problem, we have some tension in our mind. So here, whatever may be the problem whether may be in the external world or in the psychological world, we conceive the problem through our mind alone. Without the mind, we cannot conceive the problem. So the conception of the problem is only within the mind. So within the mind alone, we have to deal with the problem, whether it is external or psychological. So we have to deal with the problem only through our mind. So when we deal with the problem with the help of our mind, it is okay. For example, we are doing a business, and in the business there are some problems, and we have to separate the problem of the business. So this is purely physical. But to separate the problem of the physical world, we have to use our mind. So with the help of the mind, we have separated the problem of the situation. So here, when we are facing the problem of the world, the problem of the situation, it reflects in our mind as a tension in our mind. So the tension is purely psychological. So here the problem is that if you do anything with the help of your mind to deal with the tension, it is purely psychological. So if you do anything with the help of your mind to deal with the physical situation of the problem, it is purely physical. So here, in both the cases, the mind alone functions, the mind alone acts. But in one circumstances, then it deals with the tension of the mind, so it is purely psychological. If the mind deals with the tension and want to be free from the tension, it is purely psychological. But at the same time, the tension may be the reason of the external problem. But if you want to deal with the external problem through our mind, so now we are dealing with the external problem through the help of our mind. In both the cases, the mind alone acts, but in one case, it deals with the mind itself. In the other case, the mind deals with the external situation. So in this way, the mind divides into two ways. So here, everybody has no problem to deal with the external situation with the help of their mind. There is no problem, because we know many things about the situation and we use our mind to deal with the situation. But how to deal with the psychological problem? So that is a new concept, new approach, new turn. So how to deal with ourselves psychologically? For example, there are many statements in the spiritual world. We have to take everything is the act of God. So the statement that nothing is in our hand, everything is in the hand of God, we cannot do anything, everything is done by God Himself. So, but this statement is purely related to the psychological world. So if you take the psychological world with the help of this statement, then that means you have no business, because everything is done by God Himself. So whatever in the psychological world, whether maybe tension may be there, some good feeling, emotion may be there, whatever may be in the psychological world, we have to take it as an action of God itself. But at the same time, the problem in the external situation, we should not take the external situation is not the act of the God. So in the olden days, everybody is having lots of confusion that when we say everything is done by God, they take even the physical world also is run by God Himself. All the situations are created by the God Himself. So that is the confusion. So if you take it psychological alone, it will have a change within yourself. So when you understand there is no work on your part in the psychological world, the psychological world enters into a new dimension. Otherwise, we do something against our own mind. So when we do something against our own mind, we divide our mind into two parts. The one part is dealing with the other part of the mind. So it is a struggling work. We have to initiate a struggling work within our mind. So otherwise, when we put the psychological world into a natural process, the very natural process of the mind clears the mind itself. So, but our action is restricted only to the external world. We can use our mind, we can use our emotion to deal with the situation. But we should not use anything of our mind to deal with the mind itself. So that is the main thing.
I just want to explore furthermore on this psychological field. You say that there is a will of God, act of God. So that is applicable for the psychological mind.
Psychological.
Okay. So in the psychological mind, arising of thought, appearing and disappearing of thoughts is not in one's hand. Right, Ayya?
Yeah.
Right, sir?
Right.
Same thing, any emotions, my fear, the fear, jealous, greedy, all the emotional quotients also rising and disappearing is also act of God. It's not in my hand.
Yeah.
So, but how to deal with this content of consciousness to outside, down in the physical world? Somebody calls me, with the swear words, immediately the ego is getting punctured. I just want to retaliate immediately. Then the anger arises. I should not justify my anger. Same time, I should not put into any words retaliating it. But how to see the situation in the given moment?
We may take the same example. For example, one use some acrid word upon ourselves, and that created some hurt within ourselves.
Yes.
So we have some anger within ourselves. So here, what is the external situation here is that the other person has to dealing with you in an unwanted way.
Yes.
So, but at the same time we have some anger within ourselves. Here the problem is that, the external problem is that somebody is misbehaving with you and we have to make him correct. So that is the external problem. But in the psychological world, you are having some anger within yourself. So if you think, you may think whether it is good for me to have some anger within myself, then you are questioning yourself. So you are questioning your emotion. So we have no business to question our emotion. So it is natural. You have not created the anger. The anger comes on its own. You are not responsible for the anger. The external situation may be the responsible for the anger. But anyhow, But our concern is to deal with the external situation. To deal with the external situation, sometimes the anger may be good. Without the anger, we cannot deal with the external situation. Sometimes we may make use of the anger itself. For example, when you are sitting in a house alone, some lunatic person entered into the house. On seeing the lunatic person entering into a house, at once you got some anger upon him.
Anger or fear also.
So when you have the anger, you can make use of the anger and you can shout upon the lunatic person, then he will go away from the house. Sometimes instead of anger, you may have fear. So here, whenever you have the anger, you yourself take the responsibility and you may give a charge upon him and you drive him away. But whenever you have some fear upon the person, what will you do? So you simply go away from the house and seek the help of the neighbors. And all of them, everybody and all of you come and jointly send the lunatic person out of the house. So here, the anger comes for your help, the fear also comes for your help. So here, if it is necessary, if it is suitable, if it is appropriate, you can make use of the emotion to deal with the situation. So sometimes it may not be appropriate. For example, some unwanted things, you may have some anger or fear, it may not be necessary. But at the same time, when it is unnecessarily happen, you need not worry about that. The main thing is that you have no business to deal with your emotion. But you have the right to deal with the situation. So it is in your hand and you yourself have to do something. So with the external world is concerned, you have to take the responsibility. You have to take it is as a duty. But psychologically, unfortunately, we are taking the responsibility to deal with ourselves. We think, for example, you may have sometimes you may have a feeling of love, sometimes you may have a feeling of some peace, sometimes you may have a feeling of some good emotion. So you may think, so whenever we have some good emotion, it may be a godly one, it may be created by God himself. But at the same time you may have some anger, fear, some unwanted emotion. Then you doubt that God will not create such kind of emotions. So we ourselves is the reason for our emotions. So we discriminate the emotions. But we have to take all the emotions are created without your knowledge, without intention. It comes naturally. So you are not responsible. So whenever you are not responsible, you may take everything is created by God himself. There is no difference between that. When it happens naturally and spontaneously, you may take it as created by the God himself. But you have not created. It comes naturally and spontaneously. For that, you have no responsibility. Whenever you do not do anything, whatever comes it will go naturally within the next minute. For example, whenever you go in front of a mirror, the mirror will reflect your image. You make use of the image and you can shave your face and you can comb your hair. But after the finishing of the combing your hair and shaving, you need not command the image to go away from the mirror. It will not go away. But whenever you leave the mirror, the image will also leave. So you need not worry about the image itself. So whatever thing is that you can make use of the image, but you need not worry about the image itself. It is a reflection. So in this way, whatever comes in our mind, it is just a reflection of the situation. Just like a reflection happening in the mirror, so all the situation reflects in your mind, just like any emotion. If it is necessary, you can make use of the situation, but there is no way to correct your psychological responses. You have to take it as the image happen in the mirror itself.
So one has to see that the entire psychological field as a mirage, or rather reflection in the mirror, and not to hold any responsibility on himself, in oneself.
So that is the main thing, because
That is the main thing.
for traditionally and for many period, everybody is thinking that we have to create a good response within ourselves, good emotions within ourselves, within our mind. So that is the problem. So we have to keep ourselves always in a good emotion. We may keep ourselves with love and some good emotion within ourselves, and we have to create such kind of emotions like that. For example, whenever we are doing some meditation or anything, we may create some bliss consciousness or anything within ourselves, within our mind for a longer period. So in this way we are training like that. So here our psychological world is concerned, whatever comes within our mind is just, we have to treat it as an image in the mirror itself. We should not give any importance, we should not give life to the image. We should not give life to the emotion of our mind. That is the main thing.
So every moment it comes, it goes. Every moment it comes, it goes.
Yeah.
So in case if that is if it is required to be handled for outside, for the physical world, I can use my thought, feeling, thinking, everything for the outer world. For the inner psychological world, so I should not try to erase. I should not try to remove the content of the consciousness. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it is just simple understanding is enough to see this.
So the understanding alone is very important thing, because when the understanding alone can operate, because no other practice will not help. So only the understanding alone will help. So we have to understand, we have to lay upon the understanding alone.